Hello anime fan, welcome back to What If Animes. So in this video you gonna see, what if Naruto got massive harem with Yia Marribel and Yoruichi. This is part 1. And if you want more then hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe, so let's getting the video. Yia Marribel was a very intelligent espada, and was one of the top 5 best of their kind. But when Aizen turned on her and killed her, she did not see this coming. Even if she was one of the smartest in Hueco Mundo, she never saw it coming due to thinking he was loyal to his subordinates. And for that she was wrong. He decided to turn on them and stab her when she had her guard down, thinking he was to be trusted. So right before going to attack Captain Hitsugaya again, Aizen stabbed her from behind, and so she died. Where am I? Thought Tia, seeing nothing but darkness around her. Why am I here? Where is here? Am I in the afterlife? Is this the prison that I will stay in for all eternity? She thought while feeling like she was flouting. Finally finding her voice, she asked her first question again. Where am I? And as to answer her question, the darkness turned into light, and from within this light a being started to solidify in front of her. This being was a woman about 5 feet 8, which was roughly the same height as Tia. The woman had long silky brown hair, had D-cup breasts covered by a white robe. Her other article of clothing was a robe bottom, covering creamy white legs. She had light pink-ish lips that were curved into a small smile. She also had eyes the color of pure gold, with a normal black iris the color of obsidian. Her face was one to match a god's, due to how her face matched perfectly with her body. She also had a slight hourglass figure. If the movements of her coming closer to Marribel and seeing the tug on the cloth suck against her figure was anything to go by. All in all, she was a beautiful woman with creamy skin, with the epitome of loveliness written all over her person. Marribel found this person quite interesting, and was slightly jealous of her figure, although she never saw herself as ugly. Compared to this person, she was a common model among a queen. And the next thing she knew, the woman was about 4 feet in front of her, standing on nothingness as she looked deep into Marribel's eyes. "Hello young one. I am here to make you an offer," said the woman. Marribel looked confused and a little apprehensive. Giving the woman a questioning glare, she asked, "And what kind of offer are we talking about?" The woman just smiled at her and said, "I mean an offer that will help in the long run in your life." Marribel didn't know what this woman was talking about. She was dead, wasn't she? "What do you mean?" asked Tia. "What I mean is, you are not dead yet, and I would like you to do me a favor, for I am Kami, the goddess of all humans, Espada, and Shinigami," said the now proclaimed Kami. Tia was a little astonished but didn't show it on her face, so she had to ask, "Well, what is this offer you speak of, Kami-sama? I don't think I can do anything that you could not do yourself." Kami just smiled at Tia and brought out the topic of why she was here. "I, Tia-san, am here to give you an offer, one that will concern you greatly. I have seen the way you live in Hueco Mundo, and I have seen Aizen's betrayal to you. I would like to offer you a chance to bring someone to Hueco Mundo. He is a man from another dimension, riddled with sadness from things thrown at him when he was younger. Right now he is a happy-go-lucky person, and is in need of help. He right now is in a fight to decide his life. I know what will happen and he will live, but I need you to fetch him, and bring him into your world, and go to Hueco Mundo. There he will get his Zanpakuto that, as we all know, is created by the user's soul, and is an attachment of their being. What I ask of you, if agreed to, then I will bring you back to life to when Aizen stabbed you, and this man will watch with you from the sidelines, the end of Aizen, if you agree to fetch him and bring him to your world. This man has done everything that he needs to do in his world after his fight, and will only be scorned and hated like he was when he was younger afterwards. Although he is powerful beyond reasoning amongst many, and is seen a god among humans, he never stops them from hating him, although he doesn't care what they think. I cannot just stand by and watch as a man that never mind. I mean is that I cannot watch as a man that is more deserving of gratefulness and happiness is cast aside by society for something that was out of his control and many of his kind see as his burden, in all actuality as one of his most loved things. Right now he is fighting another person in battle, and will win in the end, but after doing so, he will confront said person and show him in the brief amount of time the man has left, that life will change, and that people will change slowly over time. And with those words the man will revive all he killed that day, and will die afterwards. This man's name is Naruto Uzumaki, his last name is that of his mother's. He could not take his father's due to what he had happened to him, but nonetheless his father was a great man named Minato Namikaze. Naruto will find he wants to leave his home, but cannot think of anywhere to go, so I want you to come with me to see him, and offer him a life in Hueco Mundo with all the other espada that I will deem worthy to come back to life. Do you accept? Asked Cammy after a lengthy speech. To say Tia was quiet would be an understatement, she was epically speechless. Cammy was asking her to come to another dimension, ask another person to come with them, bring them to Hueco Mundo, and then Cammy would resurrect the deceased espada that were deemed worthy, and it all relied on her answer. She had to think for a bit until she came to the conclusion that she was not done yet with her life, and wanted another chance. Alright, I agree, I will come with you to see this Naruto person, and bring him with us, although I don't understand what I have to do in all this, said Tia, giving Cammy a questioning glance. Well, to put it simply, I want you to show Naruto around Hueco Mundo, although he will probably never say it. He is well within the power to obliterate you, and all of the court guard squads, even the first squad captain Yamamoto. To this young man, it would barely word up a sweat to do so, and if you show him around Hueco Mundo, he won't have random espadas wondering what he is doing there and picking a fight, which could cause many espadas deaths. Said Cammy flatly, making Harribel a little nervous that a mere human could do such a thing. Okay then, now that I have told you all of this, let's go. His fight is over, and he will realize why he wants to leave right about now, said Cammy, grabbing Harribel by her right arm, and disappearing within a swirling vortex-like portal. The world of ninjas. Naruto had just finished talking to the main body of Pain, or otherwise known as Nagato. He was very tired after his fight, even though he knew that he could have finished it quicker. He wanted to know where the main body of Pain was, and got a little too distracted in the middle of the fight and almost lost. Right now, before he fell off a tree on his way to the Hidden Leaf Village, or what was left of it, his sensei Kakashi found him and said he did a good job, threw him on his back, and piggyback rode Naruto to the village. What Kakashi expected was for the villagers to be grateful to Naruto and see him as the hero that his father wanted him to be seen as. Kakashi knew well that his sensei was Naruto's father, but it was up to the Hokage to decide when Naruto's heritage was revealed to the populace of Konoha. And when he came out of the forest into what remained of Konoha, was very heartbreaking and upsetting to him. Naruto was sleeping on Kakashi's shoulder for a short nap before arriving at Konoha, and he woke up to the sound of, "Look at what the demon has done. He has only added on to the amount of damage brought to this village, and we should kill him before he turns on us all, he is too powerful." Which caused Naruto to start crying, and at that moment, he questioned why he should stay here. Okay, come on Naruto, there has to be a reason on why I should stay. There was that time with Gaara and I saved the village. Oh wait, they only laughed at me when I said I beat him and that their Uchiha-sama probably did all the work to save them. There was when I brought Tsunade Ba-chan to be our 5th Hokage. But then again they said I was only a tag along and that Ero Sennin must have convinced her. There was that time when I came back and went on a mission to save Gaara from the Akatsuki, but then again they said Kakashi-sensei probably did all the work along with Gai-sensei. There was also that time I went to be backup for Team 10. And killed that other Akatsuki member with the elemental masks. But also once again they said that Shikamaru stopped one of them and buried him deep in the earth. And that Yamato must have beaten the other member, and finally, wait, all this time, they never saw me as the actual person that saved so many, and when they finally see me in action saving them from our biggest threat, the leader of Akatsuki, they want me killed. I beat him and still they wish to kill me for saving them. There is no doubt in my mind I should leave here. But, how to do it? How would I go about doing it? I just now notice that they will never change and I don't even have a plan to get the fuck out of here. I mean, I would be leaving behind a few people I love as family. I don't know how to leave. Oh dear Kami-sama, please help me, thought Naruto while looking at all of the anger villagers, saying he caused even more damage after the initial attack with his giant laser-type blast, and calling for his death once again. From the crowd of villagers came the 5th Hokage, or in Naruto's words Ba-chan. The crowd made a path for her as she walked up to Naruto, with a loving smile on her face that made Naruto all the more sad he would have to leave sometime in the near future. Little did he know Kami would actually have a part in helping him. Okay, a big part. Naruto, are you okay? Let me heal you, said Tsunade walking up to Naruto when Kakashi put him on the floor, his face staring up at Tsunade as she waved her Hands slowly over his body with green chakra covering her hands, making the healing coming from Kyuubi just a little faster. As she was healing him, the villagers started yelling at Tsunade to kill him, not heal him, and to dispose of the demon permanently. Right before Tsunade could yell at the village, a bright light blinded them all. And when said light dissipated, a spiraling vortex opened up and out came the two most beautiful women anyone had ever seen. Many of the men were drooling over said women, forgetting that they came in the weirdest way ever, and the women of the village were looking on in jealousy that they weren't that beautiful. Well, most, except for Kurenai, Yugo and Tsunade, who knew that true beauty came from within, but still kept themselves presentable. As both women stepped down out of the portal, they both started to walk up to Naruto. They were right in front of him, facing the villagers, while both looked at him, one with longing, and the other with interest. "Hello Naruto-kun. I am here to make you an offer," said Kami, "one where you would have to leave the village and come to another dimension of my creation with this young woman here to show you around her place of living, for you see I am Kami and have watched your life and am wishing to give you another chance in a different place," she finished. The village stared awestruck at her. Even Naruto gave a wide-eyed expression since he couldn't really move to have his jaw hit the floor like everyone else. Many looked on in complete disbelief and spoke said disbelief to the woman who called herself Kami. "How can you say you're Kami? You are offering help to the demon, so you must be a demon from hell," said a random male villager. Much to their shock, the woman in question gave them a death glare that obviously said she did not like what he said. She snapped her fingers and the sky went black and red. From up above said sky, a figure slowly drifted to earth standing behind Kami. This figure had a white kimono on, looked like an old man crossed with a dried up raisin with dark death-like eyes, a dagger in between its mouth and a reed necklace around its neck like the sage of the six paths had. This figure was the Shinigami of this world, the only Shinigami, unlike in Tia's world where the Shinigami were livelier and were vast in number. "Yes, Kami-sama, what is it you wish of me?" said Shinigami. "I want you to take this man and put him in the deepest, darkest part of your being, Shinigami-kun," said Kami, pointing at the man that expressed his outrage and anger at her. The man in question was scared shitless, even more so than the others who were all staring at the figure in complete and utter shock. This woman was Kami, and she just called the Shinigami to take away this man. "Oh shit," thought most the villagers, who also disbelieved that his woman was Kami. The man in question was then stabbed through with Shinigami's hand, his soul ripped out from his very being, and ate it. The man then dropped dead where he stood as many villagers cried out in fear of the beast as it rose again up into the heavens back to its place of being. Tia, during the whole thing, was actually happy. She enjoyed watching these people get what Kami said was what they deserved. Kami then walked closer to Naruto, who was looking at her with a happy smile since he was actually helped by her, and gave her a slight foxy smile, which said God blushed at since it looked so cute on him. The blush made many of the men swoon seeing how she looked so cute with it on her face. "Naruto, once again I would like to ask you if you like to accept my offer," said Kami, extending her hand out to him to grab. Naruto didn't even give it a second thought. This was his way out, and he wouldn't be hunted for a missing nin like he thought he would have, since this was Kami and what she said was law, no matter what. "Yes, I would like that very much. I have thought over my life, and I was always mistreated along with being underestimated left and right. This village has brought me nothing but sadness and sorrow to my life. I have a small handful of people I care for, but their love and understanding is not enough to wash away the scorn and hate the villagers have put on me. Take me to wherever you see fit, Kami-sama," said Naruto, much to the slight shock of Tsunade, Kakashi, the Konoha 12, minus Sasuke of course, the other Konoha 12 senseis, and the Ichiraku ramen stand chef Sayame, and the old man. The village was torn in between glorious happiness and sadness that they couldn't kill him and see him writhe in pain before them. Although that would change with Kami's next statement later on. "Great Naruto-kun, but you can drop the sama suffix, you can either just say Kami or Kami-chan, I don't really care. Now I would like to ask if you would like to know who your parents were before we left, or just leave now and go," said Kami, and when she mentioned Naruto's parents the village in unison all thought, isn't he an orphan with no parents? And for Naruto all he could do was look on in slight shock. After getting over the shock, Naruto then answered her, "Yes, Kami-chan. I would very much like to know my parents with you could tell me so," said Naruto in the kindest tone he could make while still getting over his shock. Tsunade for one was torn between telling Kami to stop and letting her continue. The reason for telling her to stop is so that it was a law, even though then again she was Kami and could do all that she desired, and letting her continue to see everyone start to see their wrongdoing in life toward Naruto. She chose the latter. Kami only smirked at him, making him get a questioning look on his face, while the villagers just listened in, thinking it would be some lowly scum. Well, let's start with your mother. She was a fine kunoichi in this village, and was one of the best kenjutsu masters that ever came into the village of Konoha. Her name was Kushina Uzumaki, said Kami, making the villagers start to pay attention, since everyone knew of Kushina, and some actually smacked their foreheads for not connecting the two last names of said individuals. And almost simultaneously the villagers knew who his father was. Everyone knew who had captured Kushina's heart, and they all stared on in shock and utter fear of who his father would be. Kami, giving another smirk, only a little bigger, told him who his father was. Your father was a great shinobi. He had the will of fire that is in most every ninja in Konoha. He was one of the most sought-after man in Konoha for his looks. He decided the winning side of the third great shinobi war. He created the Hirai, and he became the fourth Hokage. Naruto-kun, your father, was Minato Namikaze. You could not bear his last name for many reasons, one of which was that if word got out you were his son, then Iware or Kumo would come chasing after you to come and kill you, said Kami, while Naruto just cried tears of joy and sadness. His joy was caused by him having a wonderful father and mother that he knew would have loved him if they both had not died, and sadness that his father had to seal away the 9 tails into his own son, and offer his life as the payment. After that he then got angry since the villagers did not respect their Hokage's last wish and his father's last wish as well. The villagers then burst out into sputters, trying to come to terms with this information, and when it finally clicked they all realized their wrongness toward Naruto, and understood why the fourth Hokage would wish his own son to be seen as a hero since he would not be around to take care of him. The Konoha 12, Ichiraku ramen chefs, Konoha 12 senseis, Tsunade and Shizune, all already assumed that was his father, but now that they had the truth, well, they just couldn't help but smile and in their minds say, yes, I was right, and each had a small chibi of themselves in their mind giving the peace sign. The next thing after the villagers got their abilities to speak back and understood the situation, started to all say that Namikaze-sama could not leave them, and that he should stay to take up his father's mantle in the Shinobi Council. This however made Kami and surprisingly Tia laugh a laugh of amusement and mirth, which made the villagers flinch since it was mostly directed at them. These humans in this realm are quiet, amusing Kami. They first damn the boy that saved their lives by having a demon sealed inside him. Then once they hear who his father is they want to keep him here and put him on a pedestal. I can understand why he may want to leave, said Harribel, her voice with the exact same calmness present as with Kami's that made Naruto's heart long for the two, which surprised him a little since he never truly in his life had this emotion for someone. It was very foreign to him. The words Tia spoke made the villagers once again flinch and start to rethink their opinion on how they treated Naruto. After a silence of 2 minutes Naruto spoke up. Well, I'm not getting any younger, so let's get this show on the road, he said while jumping up to his feet with enthusiasm. The words that came out of his mouth made Tsunade and the ones that loved him like family sad, but they all knew too well that Naruto deserved a better life, and if Kami herself could give it to him so be it. But to the villagers they started to cry out that she couldn't take the fourth Hokage's son away from them, which made Kami and Tia glare at them, pretty much saying that this was how it was going to be and that they had no say in the matter, which made the villagers flinch again for like the 8th time that day. After about 10 minutes of saying his goodbyes to the ones he cherished and for them to tell his other friends out of Konoha that he would miss them and to say goodbye to them as well, Naruto then turned to Kami and told her he was ready. Alright, well Naruto-kun, this new world you will be staying in has 3 parts to it: Hueco Mundo, Soul Society, and Earth. You will stay in Hueco Mundo where beings called Hallows live. The Soul Society is comprised of Shinigami, who are people that passed to the afterlife to become regular villagers or elite swordsmen with Zanpakuto. The Espada have Zanpakuto also. They're one of the highest level Hallows amongst Hueco Mundo, and the other place is Earth where humans live a normal life where they have not died yet. You will go to Hueco Mundo, and since you are already strong here you will pretty much automatically be instated as an Espada and your Zanpakuto will be shaped by your soul. Miss Tia Harribel will show you around Hueco Mundo and show you where you will live there. In this new world you will get a clean slate, but you will still carry your burden with you," said Cammy, giving him a wink when she said burden, which made Naruto start to turn a shade of red in the face, which was obviously a blush. "Also, since you will be in the second world comprised of humans who have died, you will not age, since once you die you stop aging, and I don't feel like going into great detail on how that works since it would be too much for you to handle all at once," finished Cammy, making most of the people there long to go to this world she spoke of so they wouldn't have to age either. Naruto looked at Cammy for a second, then at Tia, then back and forth from both of them for over a minute, until he finally spoke. "Sounds fun," was his blunt reply to where he was going, giving them his biggest foxy grin. That made Cammy blush all the more than before, and actually made Tia blush under her Espada suit as well. Cammy then spread out her hand to him and he grabbed it. She pulled him toward her with a strong tug and kissed him on the lips. The shock on everyone's face was priceless to say the least. The villagers had faces of utter and complete shock on them. The ones Naruto cherished had ones of happiness and slight shock that Cammy would actually do that. And Tia had a face that said, jealousy, written all over it, although no one could see her face once again due to her Espada suit. After 3 minutes that felt like an eternal life of ecstasy to Naruto and Cammy, they broke apart, Naruto with a blush on his face since he didn't start to kiss back until about halfway into the kiss, and a blush that was about 3 times stronger than Hinata's any day on Cammy's face. Cammy's next words made Tia's jealousy turn into nothingness and availability. "That, Naruto-kun, was something I have wanted to do for a long time, and although I would like you to myself, I would be selfish to bound you to only one woman, so I give you the right to have more than one girlfriend, lover, and wife. And I don't really care how many you choose, as long as you love them then it will always be okay," said Cammy, making all the men jealous, and Kakashi spurt back in a massive nosebleed thinking of all the girls that Naruto would have in the near future with his father's good looks. Naruto just looked at her with confusion and love wrapped into one, in his eyes, which wasn't missed by Cammy. "Naruto, ever since you have had your burden in you, you have always stayed pure and true to your being and never swayed from your path in life. You always had your head up high and greeted life with a smile on your face and never looked down upon others even if you could have made them do whatever you wanted. I see you as the only man among the world that has the right to date and wed me, if you want," said Cammy with a slightly downed look on her face while turning her gaze away from Naruto and to the ground in front of her. Naruto, not one to let anyone be hurt by him, put his hand up to her chin, and slowly pulled it up so she was looking him in the eyes. "I would be honored to marry you, Cammy-chan, and any woman I fall in love with, so don't look so down thinking I would reject you. You of all things should know with what you said that I would never do this," said Naruto with a calm tone to his voice that sent shivers of pleasure up Cammy and Tia's body. Cammy, after composing herself, gave Naruto a small nod, and opened up another spirally vortex portal, leading to Hueco Mundo. "Okay Naruto-kun. We must be on our way so Haribel-san can show you around her home," said Cammy, while inwardly smirking. At the moment she was thinking of what kind of Espada mask he would have, and what kick-ass Zanpakuto he would get since his soul was the most pure she had ever seen. Naruto, with one last goodbye, walked with Cammy and Tia through the portal and into Hueco Mundo, leaving behind a village he would probably never see again and people he would always remember. Hueco Mundo. Naruto, Cammy, and Tia all stepped out of the portal into a vast desert. Although this desert was slightly cold to the skin, and was comprised of grayish-white sand, life gone from all the trees around, but not lost from the feeling of many souls in the area. The next thing to happen was the kick-ass thing Cammy was waiting for. Naruto, after stepping on the sand of Hueco Mundo, began a transformation in all aspects of his being. His clothes dissolved slowly, each article being replaced by another after disappearing. Of course his underwear just stayed orange with small chibi kyubis on them giving the peace sign, much to the embarrassment of him, and slight blush from Tia and Cammy since his clothes disappeared and became anew. His new garb consisted of the normal white suit Espada-type clothing. His upper body was comprised of a short-sleeved muscle t-shirt that was white all over except for a black trim going down the 6 inches of sleeve he had on each arm that connected to the hem of the neck on the shirt. His pants were a baggy pair. They were also all white except for the black trim going down the back of the pants and stopped at top and bottom of his pants, The next thing to show up was his normal sandal-like shoes that Shinigami and Espada alike share, except for some few out there. The second biggest change was the sword. Attached to his waist, it had a golden hilt that had a criss-cross pattern to it. The gold was criss-crossed with a light orange that met the beginning of the guard. The hilt was about 6 inches long altogether. The guard was an intricate design of a fox wrapping 9 tails around the blade. The fox guard was a pure black with 9 red tips that splayed out in all different directions. The guard was only about half an inch thick, and about a 3-inch diameter. The blade was pure obsidian black. It curved back only near the last 6 inches of the blade. The blade altogether was 56 inches and a width of 2 inches. The blade looked very sharp, and if Naruto touching his finger to it and drawing blood from the smallest touch was to go by, then yes, it was super sharp. The scabbard that Naruto had pulled the sword out from was also an interesting design. It was also a pure black obsidian color, with the exception for a design of lines that went around the area of the scabbard with a reddish fire-looking design that the lines made going along the length of the scabbard. And last but not least, the coolest part of his new change. Unlike most Espada, he had many places that his Espada mask touched. To be true though, his mask was more like an added appendage to his body. He grew 10 tails of pure black from his tailbone that ripped through his pants. The tails had a crimson red at the 3 inches of them. The tails were only about 4.5 inches long. These tails of his though turned out to be something he would have gained once he reached the age of 25 and absorbed all of Kyuubi's chakra, while Kyuubi would still have a consciousness in Naruto, since Kyuubi was immortal. The next part of his change was his true Espada mask. This mask was 2 fox-like ears that jutted out from around his own ears. They were a pure white, and looked like bone. They were about 6 inches in length and started from where his bones met in their sockets, ending a little behind his head. His whisker marks also grew more in depth of color, making them more defined, which made him look more hot and feral. His eyes also changed. He still kept his sea blue eyes, but there was a faint hint of gold in the middle around the iris. His hair also grew to about 4 inches past his neck, and it spiked even more around his head, giving him a look that his hair was wild and untamed. Naruto looked at his new features, and when he saw his tails he tried to move one. Much to his liking, the one farthest to his right moved forward and grabbed his sword's hilt, and then moved back. It was more of a test run with his tail, and to know he could grab things with it was all the more great. He then realized that he had more chakra than he ever had. He wondered how he hadn't noticed it earlier but wrote it off as paying attention to his change. He then felt up to his ears, and touched the bone-like structure of fox ears adorning the sides of his head. After looking around at all his new changes he smiled, and said the only thing that came to mind, "Fucking awesome." Kami and Tia were both drooling over Naruto's new look, and staring at his 10 swishing tails they started drooling even more. To Tia, Naruto looked very hot, and to Kami he looked cute, hot and so kawaii. After hearing Naruto speak she had to agree with him, along with Tia. "Yes, Naruto-kun. I would say that your new change is indeed fucking awesome. It also makes you look even more hot," said Kami. "Agreed," said Tia. Although she wanted to add more to her sentence, she feared that her composure would slip if she did. "Thanks, I like the changes too, but why do I have 10 tails?" asked Naruto. That. Well, you were going to get tails anyway, since near the age of 25 you would have absorbed all of Kyuubi's chakra, and with the power you would turn into a half-demon. And since here where you are going to live and where I have made you unable to age, you grew them since you would never reach the age of 25, and you got all Kyuubi's power also. Now I must go, god stuff and all that, but don't forget Naruto-kun. I expect a wedding sometime in the future," said Kami with a sly smirk on her face, tilting her head to the side ever so slightly. Said action made Naruto shiver in pleasure and fear. He did not know what to expect from a god, so he just nodded his head in the affirmative. "Alright Kami-chan, I'll see you later. I'll see you in about a week or 2 if that is okay," said Naruto, getting a nod from Kami in the affirmative as well. "Alright then." Kami then left, leaving Naruto alone with Tia. Naruto then realized he never got the name of the woman. That was to show him around this new world. He hoped he wasn't a burden on the woman. She did look very hot to him as well, with her D-cup breasts, and nice figure. And her hair just made him think kinky. Although he would never force her to be with him, he wished to get to know her. "Well miss," said Naruto, waiting for her to tell him her name. "Tia." Yia Marribel, she said, with a slight blush that once again no one could really see. Tia, would you care to show me around your world? I would greatly appreciate your presence as I look around with you," said Naruto, giving her a smile that made her want to melt right then and there in happiness. In all her life she never felt like this, and ever since she had hung on to the feeling, hoping to never have to let it go. "Alright. Let's go," said Tia as they walked up to the structure of Las Noches that was located in the middle of Hueco Mundo that housed all the Espada and Arancars. Naruto was looking forward to this new life. He hoped it would be fun, and he was looking forward to meeting many new people. Naruto's new journey began then and there, as he walked with Tia to Las Noches. Naruto and Tia started to walk toward Las Noches, chatting with one another to get to know each other, or in Tia's terms, to see if he is worthy. And so far he hadn't said anything to make her doubt that. "So, you're telling me that ever since you were born you were beaten, stabbed, chopped up, burned, hated, and scorned ever since? I find that sort of funny that you somehow kept your sanity," said Tia as they could see Las Noches around 3 miles away. "Hey, I guess I did keep my sanity, but it was all due to friends, but over time I grew to realize, no matter how many times I try to impress and get the villagers' respect, it just doesn't work. So I finally decided that it was time to leave. You guys came at the right time too. I bet that was Kami's doing, haha," said Naruto, walking next to Tia on her right side without a care in the world. "And so now you're telling me that you worked for a man with exceptional powers that far pass all your very strong comrades, and he killed you? And left your teammates and comrades left behind like a used tool?" questioned Naruto, actually feeling a little sorry for this person. But then remembered Kami's words on how all the souls that were actually good would return to her, so he slightly smiled so she wouldn't think he was smiling for this Aizen guy killing her and her friends. "Yeah, my comrades, or mainly my fraction, and I, were fighting for our lives to protect Aizen, and then he just went and let my comrades die, then killed me when I was going to take out my target. If I ever get the chance again, I am gonna take down Aizen, even if I need help," said Tia, actually adding an emotion at the end instead of her normal and controlled angelic voice. Naruto just gave her a polite and caring smile, which seemed to make her heart flutter slightly. He was happy that she didn't go on with the cycle of pain. She chose to be with her friends and take down a common enemy to enact good for all. She was a kind spirit in Naruto's eyes. "Okay. I got one more question since I know a lot about you now, and you know a lot about me. What is this resurrection thing you talk about with my sword? And how do I do it?" asked Naruto, as he unconsciously used one of his tails to grip the hilt of his sword. Tia smiled under her mask. This boy listened to her, and he didn't mind her snobbish way of talking, or lack of emotion in most her speech. She felt more and more inclined to be with him like Kami would, but stomped that out of her mind for now. She was actually happy he asked these questions. This way she got to see emotions run across his face, and for some reason since he has whisker marks and they are more defined, every time an emotion runs across his face, he gets a funny and cute look on it. "Well, yes, I know what it is and how you make it happen. First you have to get into contact with your sword, and learn its name, thereupon will it let you use half of its normal power. And once you achieve a level where you have total mastery over half of your sword's power, then it'll tell you how to achieve resurrection. PS. My comp won't let me type the real name of the Espada's Bankai, where it will give you complete control over its power, and you will undergo a random transformation that comes from your spirit animal and you gain a vast amount of power," said Tia in a teacher-like tone. He smiled once again at her, which he seemed to be doing a lot. They walked about another mile and were around 2 miles away from Las Noches, when a bright bluish red light descended upon the front of Las Noches. Looking quickly at each other and with a silent nod, they both shot off at max speed toward Las Noches. They arrived in only 3 seconds. What they saw shocked them. Okay, maybe more Tia than Naruto, since she had got the information on who all died from Kami but was never told who would be resurrected, and here were the Espadas and their Fracione that were deemed worthy to be brought back to their plane of existence. There weren't that many there, but the ones that were made Tia's heart skip once again. But for happiness and not love, she saw all her fraction Sung Sun Apache and Mila Rose. She also also saw some of her fellow Espada and some of the Privaran Espada. She saw Grimjow Jaggerjax Ulquiorra Schiffer Stark and his partner Dordoni Alessandro del Socaccio Chirucci Sanderwichi Gantinbane Mosqueda and Mainoli Malia were all in their respected clothing and styles, and they also looked very confused because they were all looking at their surroundings strangely. Why the fuck am I here? I remember fighting Ichigo, then all of a sudden that fucking number 5 Espada came and killed me so he could fight him. How fuck am I here now? Questioned Grimjow, looking around like this was all some kind of sick joke. Tia walked up to them through the giant gates that toured around the whole of Las Noches. They didn't seem to notice her yet, so she decided to help them figure out what was wrong since she knew. Well, Grimjow, I know exactly why you're here. Aizen turned on us, stabbed me in the back and killed me. When I thought I was completely dead and going to wherever we go when the deceased, I was then brought to a giant white space, where a beautiful woman confronted me. She told me she was Cammy, and that she had an offer for me, if I was to go to another world with her that she created, and retrieve a young man, and bring him back here, that it would help me in the long run, and all those that died and had good intentions in their hearts, would be revived. I guess all you are the only ones that died that had good intentions, said Tia, with her arms crossed under her cleavage as usual, which Naruto could never seem to tear his eyes from when he wanted to. They were just there, hanging on her arms, and out in the open to see the bottoms of. To him it was really tempting and hard not to stare and drool. Cammy was hot, don't get him wrong, but he also knew that this woman was very nice even though she never directly showed it, and that she was good looking. He liked her before he even saw her. She just seemed like him, but more controlled and with a better vocabulary. Everyone stared at her like she had a second head, but they all knew that she couldn't lie. I mean, this was Yia Marribel they were talking about. The most controlled and smartest of all the Espada. She could never go off her nut. They absorbed the information in and it all started to make sense. They all seemed to have vague glimpses of a conversation with two women, but they couldn't make out who they were. Now that they thought about it, the second blur looked a little like Tia, so they believed her, which they should. Then they noticed Naruto. They all actually noticed him at the same time. All the women blushed, even Tia's Fashion, and it's understandable. If Tia couldn't stop from blushing, who could? The guys looked at him like he was a challenge, except for Stark and Grimjow. Stark because he was too lazy to care, and Grimjow for being all high and mighty thinking he was the best out there. That didn't stop them from asking who he was and why he was here. However smart they may be, they didn't think he was the young man that Tia was talking about. Who are you and what are you doing here? Asked Grimjow in a demanding tone of voice, trying to scare Naruto with a little blast of his Ritsu. Naruto could barely feel it. It was like a fly. He could barely feel its weight on him, so that backfired on Grimjow. Although now Grimjow was wary of the boy, if he didn't flinch or barely notice the force set on him, then he must be strong. Naruto gave them a foxy smile, which was his normal goofy smile, but it was enhanced with the more defined whisker marks, Espada mask fox ears, and his 9 feet and a half tails. The smile made all the girls blush and drool at the same time, except for Tia, who secretly was drooling but no one could see due to her fashionable suit. Hi, my name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. I just found out who my father was, saved a village from utter destruction by a common enemy with unimaginable power, and then the village backstabbed me screaming for my death. Then when I wanted away from it all and to just leave, Cammy came and made me an offer to come here and help with whatever you guys do. Then she got really weird and said I was to marry her. Weird goddess if you ask me, but very nice. Then I got this new look and sword. My tails would have come after my 25th year due to the demon that was sealed inside of me, but since I will be here for the remainder of my time until Cammy says so, I don't age, so I got the tails. And I would be the boy that Miss Tia had to go get with Cammy. Nice to meet you all, said Naruto, extending out his hand to Grimjow and giving him another foxy smile. Grimjow accepted it. He liked this guy. Even if he was strong, he spoke his mind and didn't give two shits what others could think. A boy after his own style to life. Whoa buddy, a little too much information and a little too fast, but otherwise I like you. You can call me Grimjow since that's my name. Can't wait to see how much ass you can kick if you have enough power to just shrug off my Ritsu, said Grimjow, giving him the smirk that Grimjow gave Ichigo before the battle, one of confidence and excitement. Everyone accepted Naruto then and there. If Grimjow found you acceptable, then you must either be a friend of his, or very strong and likable. It was the latter. All the girls then turned to Tia, all wanting to know why she got to go find and pick up this good-looking boy. Even Tia's Fracción looked at her like this, thinking the same thing as everyone else. Naruto was oblivious to this though, like usual, and went on with talking to Grimmjow. Yeah, after that fight I just got done with I was a little tired, but Kami-chan worked that out. She's very nice, I can't wait to see the type of people I would get to fight here. From what she told me I am supposed to play a big role in your revenge against this Aizen dude that turned on you all," said Naruto, showing another foxy smile like always, since he is always in high spirits unless his precious people are in danger, or people that are rapists are doing their act of trying to rape someone. Nice to hear. So, what now? We just got back to life supposedly, and now we're clueless on what to do," said Stark, his partner shaking her head, also wanting to know what to do now. "Well, I can elaborate on that. From what I heard of Kami, she says that Naruto here will be helping us defeat Aizen. We are to band together with the Soul Reapers and fight him and his subordinate Jin. She says that he is getting too close to making the spirit key and needs us to stop him before he rips a hole into her domain where her uncle resides. It appears that he is the person that Aizen wants to see, and her uncle told her that he would like her to do something about this retarded ass wipe that needs to learn his rights and regulations and whatnot," said Tia, getting small nods from others and slight glimpses of panic run across their faces. "Well, that sounds kick-ass. Can't wait to fight him and see what he is like," said Naruto, his attitude of excitement and utter lack of fear making the others' panic disappear and a slight smirk appear on their faces. Apache was debating on something, and Tia could see this, so she spoke up and asked what was wrong with one of her Fracción. "What is wrong, Apache?" questioned Tia, actually adding a little bit of concern to her voice, thinking that one of her Fracción and friends was troubled. Apache came out of her stupor and shook her head. Looking now at Tia, she tilted her head slightly to the left and asked, "Well, I was wondering how Naruto-san would be able to help us. I understand he may be strong from what Grimmjow says, but before I can even trust in any of his capabilities I would like proof," said Apache in her above all else tone of hers. Hearing a loud chorus of "Yeah, let us see what he's got, show us some skill," Naruto had to agree. Alright already, geez, you guys are worse than Konohamaru. "Well, I guess I could show you some of my super-powered attacks," said Naruto, giving them a now feral grin, making some of them cringe thinking of what might come out of him when he fights. "You got anything I can like blow up or like hit?" questioned Naruto. He got his answer from Grimmjow that pointed to one of the giant red cement cylinders in the sand about 100 meters away that had about one giant cement cylinder pillar every 300 meters away from the other. He also said he could destroy as many as he wanted and gave him another excited grin to see what he's got. He walked up about 50 meters away from them and away from the pillar. He was exactly halfway in between them when he called over his shoulder, "Well, this is something that one of my senseis taught me. It's called Sage Mode. In this state I gather all the natural energy around the area and use that power to boost up all of my abilities," said Naruto, making the Espada go wide-eyed. If he could take energy from all around him with this technique, then he could have unlimited energy with the Ritsu in the air and making up the sand. Naruto stood still, listening to the hushed silence from the Espada, and he could hear the howling of the wind blowing through his long locks of hair as it swayed in the wind, giving him more of a feral look from behind with his tail swaying around lazily in the wind. Slowly, they could see the Ritsu starting to go to Naruto, and he could feel it. He was actually surprised at how much natural energy resided in this place, but he thanked it nonetheless. His features didn't change, but when he turned around and opened his eyes to his now new comrades, they noticed he had dark marks around his eyes, and they were shaped oddly, with a horizontal pupil that looked like a frog's, and a gold circle for his iris surrounding it. The woman actually thought it made him even more hot, and couldn't take it, and had to drool and fantasize again. He smiled at them, but this time it was a normal smile, and turned back around with his right hand extended toward the fake sky up above. In less than 4 seconds he had a giant Rasengan formed in his hand, the size of about 2 3-story houses combined, and ran at the pillar faster than they could follow, and slammed the orb into it. "Sage Arts! Odama Rasengan!" cried out Naruto, as the whole pillar grinded and fell under the power of his giant Rasengan, and was completely destroyed. The only thing left of it were the small cement pebbles falling toward him, landing on the sand with small pitter-patters. He turned around to face them with a giant smile on his face. "That was one of my signature moves," said Naruto. now rubbing his hand behind his head in embarrassment from seeing their eyes were bulged out even further and that they looked on in awe. Even Tia had her eyes open about 1/4 of an inch more than normal. Also, while I'm in this mode, I can hit targets with any part of my body that is about half a foot away from that area. So I could go to punch someone in the face, and they would barely dodge, but since I can use this, I could hit them in the face as they were at least 6 inches close to my fist," said Naruto, making Grimmjow now look at him with respect and a feral jaguar-like smile on his face. "Liking the new guy already. Okay. Now for another of my favorite attacks," said Naruto. Once heard everyone sat down and looked on at him like his own little audience. They liked what they saw, and they wanted to see more. Naruto just smiled and chuckled at their faces of pure excitement. To see what came next, he went through a set of hand signs that he made sure they could see so they knew that he was doing something, and after the last sign he lifted up both of his hands in a manner where his right hand was at the 2 o'clock region pointing down slightly toward the 8 o'clock region, and his left hand was at the 8 o'clock region, slightly pointing at its counterpart at the 2 o'clock region, and cried out, "Sage Art! Wind Release! Kamikaze of the Underworld!" They watched with complete awe and utter bewilderment, as he shot out a giant hurricane-like structure, that shot out horizontally toward many pillars. It was halfway up toward the top of Las Noches, and was about half a mile long. It twisted and turned with every move Naruto made with his hands, and smashed, cut, and tore at multiple pillars in its way as it moved to and fro, and finally split in two and hit the last 2 pillars it would destroy before disappearing. This action was caused by Naruto flinging his arms outward like he was gonna give a big hug to someone. Heh, that was another of my signature moves. Now this is the power that I got from one of my closest and coolest friends I know. She is fucking awesome. Although this may hurt you guys for being so close, make sure you're safe, okay? Asked Naruto, in a sympathetic voice laced with concern and care in it, making the others shunpo about a mile away from him, thinking that was pretty safe, and sat back down to watch the show. Although most the girls wished Naruto would talk about them like that, but brushed it off for now so they could watch him look badass. He looked at them and scowled. They weren't far enough, but if he told them now they would probably not believe him, so he decided to go ahead. "Hey Q-chan, you awake? Did you even come with me when Kami-chan came and got us? Because right now I would like a little boost of about 6 tails worth of your UK. I think I know that I can do the same since I have these 10 tails, but I think I can't use the full power of them until I know how to do my resurrection," thought Naruto to Kyuubi inside him. "Yes, I'm still here, Naruto-kun, and you are right, your tails are mostly for show until you unlock that strange power with your sword, but yes, I wouldn't mind giving you some of my power. It's fun watching you destroy things." Giggles, but yeah, I'm still here, so at least we're together still, Naruto-kun. Kami is a very nice woman, and come on, let's show them what we got, said Kyuubi to Naruto. And yes, Kyuubi is female. Kyuubi will always be female in all my fan fictions unless I say it is a male, okay? But you will know if Kyuubi is male or female, cheeky smiley face. Good to know, Q-chan. Okay, let's do this shit, thought Naruto, while he slowly drew on the power of the Kyuubi, while she pumped some of her chakra to him as he took it slowly, making sure he was still in control before he would go to the next tail. The Espada and other type of hollows all watched once again with awe. They thought they had seen it all when it came to this boy, but now seeing as he grew a orange and bubbly cloak around himself and his tails, it slowly turned his body into a dark reddish orange creature with white eyes that seemed to be a void of nothing, along with his mouth. He had 4 tails until he got a 5th, then a 6th, at his 6th tail he grew skeletal features like a fox skull over his head that was attached by his strange dark reddish orange skin that seemed to flow around his body. He grew bones that looked like legs, a spine, arms, and bones that went up his tails. He grew a 7th tail and tissue started to show up over his skeletal areas, and then an 8th and the tissue was all over his body, and he grew a fox head that had no skin and fur around it, yet he was around 3/4 the way to touching the top of Las Noches. Also, due to his large size, he was roughly around a mile long, and his new comrades had fled around 2 miles away from his new position, still looking at him in awe and fear since his power was literally crushing them to the floor, and the bloodlust coming off him made some of the weaker of his comrades piss themselves. Mainly the ones with 3-digit numbers and Mainoli, and were still watching as he sprouted a 9th tail, completing the process, and now was a giant 9-tailed fox with blood-red eyes and crimson-orange fur. Naruto was completely in control, and he loved this feeling, all this power, and he knew he could protect the ones he cherished along with others. He gave out a giant roar as he finished his ascension into his demoness friend's form. Roarghhhh, cried out Naruto in a demonic howl. Giving a giant smirk that looked completely like a fox now, he charged a giant sphere in his mouth as chakra spheres the size of a refrigerator came out of his being. Slowly he brought the spheres together into one big purplish-sized sphere the size of 4 two-story houses, and shot it off. Sending it off, it flew at the speed of light and hit the outside of Las Noches, which was about 30 miles toward his left where he had shot it. It made a giant hole there, and kept going. It shot out for over 100 miles more, and then ended. Everyone could see the giant hole, and how far it went since it made a giant trench in the sand as the sand started to fill the area back up. The espadas all looked on in complete and utter shock, not believing how the fuck he did that. They couldn't believe a lovable boy could turn into a fucking giant-ass fox the size of a mountain, and then shoot off an attack that made their Gran Rey Cerro, sorry if I spelt that wrong, look like a baseball compared to a cannonball being shot out of a cannon. They watched as he all of a sudden went, poof, and a cloud of smoke surrounded the giant fox Naruto. When it cleared they could see Naruto laughing his ass off at their expressions. Ah ha ah ha 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 ha. Woo, said Naruto as he wiped away an imaginary tear from the corner of his eye, that was hilarious. Your faces were priceless, but yeah, that was my strongest attack. Until I figure out how to get my sword to do the resurrection thingy I won't have anything stronger than this. Supposedly when my sword does the resurrection thingy, I use my tails I have right now, and do something awesome. I guess, said Naruto, pondering on the magnitude of power he would have if it was stronger than the Kyuubi's full form. He made a mental note to ask Kami how he was supposed to get this form from his sword, and then a mental note to visit Kyuubi in her seal when he went to sleep. He hadn't talked to her since he let her run wild in the sixth-tailed form while fighting pain. So how did you like that? Asked Naruto in his normal goofy all-around happy self. Grimmjow only had one thing to say, fucking bad-ass man. While the rest agreed and Tia said, same here, that looked quite destructible, and it did look cool how you turned into a giant fox. How did you do that again? Kami never elaborated on that part of you. Oh that's easy, when I was born my father sealed the 9-tailed demon fox into me, or demoness fox, and I was hated all around my village except for a handful of people actually cared for me, but I couldn't take it anymore and came with you to here. But yeah, she has a huge amount of power, and since she's sealed into me, I am able to ascend into her from when she wanted to rampage as a fox. She's quite nice really, she just has a huge bloodlust problem, but I like that about her, she's pretty cool. Her name is Kyuubi, or my word for her, Q-chan, said Naruto. Tia nodded, liking the answer since it fit part of Kami's description of what the demon was inside of Naruto. The others just looked on in slight apprehensiveness but reluctantly accepted it also. This boy would be the deciding factor on who fought Aizen, and their hopes of winner were just skyrocketed all the way to the moon and back with. Naruto here, well, we have seen some of your skill, and we can see you're very powerful. You probably are good with a blade if you're that powerful, so we don't need to see swordsmanship. We need to rest, then we need to gather up and go to them. To the Soul Reapers in Soul Society, said Tia, getting a nod from the others and a smile from Naruto which made her blush once again. I call sleeping in the same room as Naruto-kun, yelled out Mila Rose. Oh no you're not. He's mine, yelled out Apache, grabbing Naruto's arm to add effect, which made him blush and Kyuubi growl at her in his head. No me, enough. He will sleep in my accommodations, the rest of you sleep well, we got a long day ahead of us. Said Tia, suppressing a blush since she actually just wanted him to sleep in the same room as her, but she would never admit it to anyone's faces. Naruto blushed at this, but agreed nonetheless. He so far only trusted Tia and Grimmjow, so he was fine with it. Sounds okay to me I guess, he said with a shrug. He received glares of jealousy from most the male populace there, besides the single-digit espada. And Tia got glares from the whole female populace, making her blush even more since he agreed to it. Alright come with me Naruto, I'll take you to me and my Frashian's accommodations. Mila Rose, Sung Sun, Apache, come on, we're all going to sleep. she said in a commanding voice, which got its initial intention, which was said people rushing behind her to catch up and follow. It seemed that this Hueco Mundo thing won't be so bad after all. I already think I made a bunch of friends. A way better improvement than the villagers, thought Naruto as he drifted off to sleep in his bed. His bed was in the middle of the 4 girls' beds. Tia's was above him, Apache's was to the right of his, Mila Rose's was to the left of him, and Song Sun was below him. They all went to bed with a content smile on their faces knowing Naruto was there. Good night Naruto-kun, girls thought everyone before they drifted off to sleep, or in Naruto's case, to talk to a good friend. Meeting the team and making a plan, Naruto woke up with a start. Even though he was used to waking up early, he was not used to waking up with more weight on his body than just his own. It seems that in the middle of the night the girls all left their beds and joined him in his. Mila Rose was on his right, holding on to his arm like a teddy bear. Apache was on his other side pretty much in the same position as Mila Rose. Sung Sun was on his chest, using it as a pillow while lightly snoring, and Tia, well, she chose the most intimate position of them all. She somehow fell asleep right on his crotch, with her face completely stuffed up against his private region with her hands on his ass using them to hold onto her pillow. He swore he could feel her breath through his pants, and with that simple thought he shot straight out of bed backwards by a giant nosebleed, leaving all the girls to fall onto his bed now that their pillow was gone. Once they realized that they were supposed to get up, the girls started to stir. And when they opened their eyes they looked around in confusion. This was not their beds? This was Naruto's. They all looked at each other and then at the trail of blood leading from the head of the bed, all the way to the wall at the end, where an unconscious Naruto was lying. They didn't know why he was unconscious, so they looked around for clues that would lead to knowing why he was. It actually only took about 4 seconds until they saw that Naruto's body imprint was still in the bed, and they realized where they were sleeping. Then they connected the dots on where they woke up at. Mila Rose, Sung Sun, and Apache all had mild blushes seeing as they had done something slightly intimate with the blonde, but no one was sporting more of a blush than Tia. She prided herself on being the role model for the women Arankars, since Nell went missing many years ago, and here she was, and supposedly had been sleeping on this man's crotch region for a pillow. Yeah, she sported one hell of a blush. I suggest we wake him up, then head out and make a game plan on what we are going to do with Aizen. Since we all know that Hueco Mundo's time goes slower than in the Soul Society and in the real world, then it has probably only been an hour in the real world while here it has been a whole night. Once he awakens he will help us make this plan. Since the supposed Kami that brought us all back to life says he will make a change for us all, I think we should listen to her, said Tia as she tried to regain what little authority and dignity she had left. Heh, okay, said Sung Sun, as she had her sleeve covering her mouth like usual, but this time it was to not laugh in front of her superior at what position she had found herself in. With that in mind, they waited for Naruto to come to the world of the living. They didn't have to wait long, since he woke up 10 minutes later, and ever since he couldn't look in any direction Tia was at without having a giant blush on his face and a small trickle of blood running from his nostril. This just served to make Tia blush more since she probably would never live this down, but she had to keep up appearances, so she tried to look like her normal stern self when she was walking with her Fraccione and Naruto through the halls of Hueco Mundo. While on their way through the halls, they passed by a slightly grumpy Grimmjow, but once he saw them, Grimmjow couldn't help but smile at Naruto, knowing that he had more competition and would need to hone his skills even more. "Sup guys, what you all doing? Getting ready to go kick some Aizen ass?" questioned Grimmjow, his feral jaguar-like grin making it known to all that he was itching for a good fight again. "Actually yes Grimmjow-san. Tia just told me we were to meet in the Espada meeting chambers. And then we are to come up with a course of action to take against Aizen," said Naruto. "Great, then I'll be coming right away," said Grimmjow, as he walked up next to Naruto and started to have a friendly chat with him. Most the things they talked about while walking through the many corridors of Hueco Mundo were fights they had in the past, people they hated, things they liked, and one topic that got Grimmjow into a laughing fit was Naruto telling him how he woke up this morning. Grimmjow had a ball with the thought of the ever-stoic and proper Yia Marribel using someone's crotch as a pillow while gripping their butt cheeks. He just figured she had some sort of locked-up pervert that just was roaring to get out. While walking, Tia would tell everyone that they passed that the Espada were going to have a meeting, and if anyone saw any of the Espada, to alert them to the news. The lower-level Arancars listened and followed her orders, and soon Naruto, Grimmjow, Tia, and her Fraccione were sitting in the meeting room with all the other living Espadas sitting in their respective seats. "Today we are going to plan out our goal, the downfall of Aizen," said Tia. Getting smiles from some and feral grins from others at the aspect of taking down Aizen. "I will now give the floor to Naruto. Even though he has not been here long, Kami sent me to retrieve him and has said that he will play the biggest part in this war against that tyrant Aizen," said Tia, giving the floor to Naruto with a slight gesture of her hand. "Thank you, Tia-chan. Now, as you all know, my name is Naruto, and just yesterday I showed you some of my abilities which seem to have impressed you. I was always hated where I lived, and hearing about how hollows are created, I think I'll fit in quite nicely here," said Naruto, getting a blush from Tia at the suffix to her name, and nods from the others since they were told of Naruto's past by Tia when they met up with her and Naruto at the front gates of Hueco Mundo. Now on to business. "As I have been informed, Aizen was a terrible leader, only using you for his own goals." Whisper sounds like Danzo to himself, but now that I am here I guess I can help you. After getting a good night's sleep, and I guess an awkward morning, I came up with an idea. I propose we side with the Shinigami and their allies. We seem to have a common enemy, Aizen. Right now I have been informed by Tia that time here travels faster here, so she thinks they are probably still fighting Aizen. I propose that in an hour after preparing, we go and join the forces of the Shinigami, turning the tides of this war with that man," said Naruto, getting some nods of acceptance and some with wary looks in their eyes at trusting the Shinigami. "This will be our battle strategy if the Shinigami prove to be intelligent and accept our invitation to join forces and fight Aizen," said Naruto. Never let it be said that Naruto was dumb. He was very smart on the battlefield and could come up with a strategy within seconds, but when it came to normal stuff, he slightly lagged behind the average person's mental capabilities, like math. His worst subject, endless, it involved mathematics in a plan for action. He didn't know why this was, but he just let it slide. Not everyone was perfect. 1 hour later, "Is everyone ready?" yelled out Naruto to everyone that had gathered to the front gates of Hueco Mundo, which was pretty much all the living Espada, the Privaran Espada, and the Arancars loyal to the Espada and not Aizen. Naruto received a cheer of acceptance in response to his question. He smiled at this, and Tia, who was next to him, opened up a garganta for Naruto and the others to follow through. They left Hueco Mundo to go fight the war that they were first a part of, but was now changing sides. Naruto was leading them, and as they got closer and closer to the real world, his Ritsu started rising at the thought of a fight. Tia and many of the other females couldn't help but slightly swoon at the feeling of his Ritsu. It was so commanding yet gentle, like he could protect you from the world and still care for your single existence. The men of the group just saw this as his command on them all, and seeing as he was strong yet kind, they would follow him. Naruto just couldn't wait to fight again. Ever since he was turned into a Espada by Kami the other day, he had an uncanny itch for a really good fight. He just couldn't wait to fight this man and protect the new people that he found precious in this new world. "Aizen, you better watch out, because I'm coming for your ass and I'm gonna kick it all the way down the black, then bat you around like a rag doll when I find you," thought Naruto, gaining a feral grin at the thought of his fight. Thanks for watching, guys.